everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today, we have a very interesting concept I thought would be nice to put out, and that is me drawing characters, or designing characters, for a novel I have been writing for a very long time. This novel is called Brother to the Devil. At the moment, you can see me drawing the main character, Azrael, the brother to the devil. And it's essentially just about what happened in heaven, what goes on in hell, stuff like that, from the point of view of the Angel of Death, who again is Lucifer's twin brother. And considering Azrael already has a design written out in the story, I describe him as having pale skin, long dark hair, a really long dark flowing robe cloak kind of thingy, poppies and lavenders on his head, the halo, all of that is previously described, so this was just pretty much me just drawing it. Unlike the other three, meant to be four, I kind of gave up after designing Dagon, the last character in this roster. So, I'm going off, I'm not scripted here. My videos are never scripted. So I'm gonna go completely off of memory when it comes to these characters. Fair warning. So when it comes to symbolism with Azrael, Azrael has been a character I've been obsessed with since I was a little kid, blame my dad. And so I know a lot of symbolism behind him and characters such as Hypnos and Thanatos. So I used a lot of that symbolism to design my version of Azrael, the first Grim Reaper. What I was trying to do with his brooch was a raven skull. Ravens are normally associated with death. If you're a Sandman fan, apparently also sleep. I don't get that. And I was trying to give him a cloak that was representative of butterfly wings, which are also creatures represented by death. But it didn't turn out that well. And then I remembered, he doesn't have a cloak. He's wearing a robe. So I pretty much scrapped everything, gave him a belt that I have seen in real life, and just tried to make him look as, I want to say, fluid as possible, because in the actual story, he does take a female form when going down to meet humans. So he's a very gender fluid character, I will say. Now let's get back to the symbolism. When it comes to symbolism, I tried to incorporate ravens as much as I could, but I can only really get it with his wings, which I don't mind. I like that detail. And then there's another thing that I added, which was amethyst and ruby. Just pretty much because of the color palettes and my birth month being an amethyst. But I thought these would be very pretty gemstones to have on the Angel of Death, and I know ruby has that bright red color, which is often associated with blood and war, and then the amethyst has that really nice purple color, which is associated with royalty, mysteriousness, tranquility, stuff like that. Now, since I'm drawing the flower crown, let's talk about that. Lavender and poppies. Lavender is heavily associated with tranquility and sleep. And poppies are also associated with sleep, but also death, and more specifically, military death. These are actually symbols of Hypnos in Greek mythology. If I remember correctly, Hypnos is known to sleep in a cave surrounded by a field of poppies. Oh, there's me messing with my settings. And I want to say Hypnos and Thanatos I pretty much fused when it came to Azrael. Because in Greek mythology, sleep and death are brothers. They're twin brothers, children of Nyx, the night. And Azrael is essentially the embodiment of eternal sleep, which is death. He is death itself, as he says multiple times within my story. Now, that's pretty much all of the symbolism, besides silver and gold, because I thought that added just a regal aspect. Now let's move on to Azrael as a character himself. Azrael as a character, I feel like I somewhat underdeveloped him. But he's also the main character, so he's still in development. He cares very much for his siblings and his family. He is an uncle to 2 children, which are the children of the devil, obviously, considering he's the brother to the devil. And he has a, I want to say adopted sister, but more like a sister-in-arms named Spear. And she is the mother who rules over Purgatory, where all the dead children go. What am I doing on the screen? I will make videos touching on these characters themselves, giving you guys more of an explanation of who they are, what they do, yada yada yada. Considering this is a novel that I'm writing, there is a lot going on. There's the war between heaven and, not hell, but the rebellious angels that become demon. They literally get demonized in front of all the angels of heaven. We get to see them turn into demons, and Azrael is there front and center watching his brother in agony and his other friends that have joined his brother's side. It's a very, I want to say, deep story, considering it's about freedom and being who you want to be. And some people got mad at me for making Lucifer the good guy. Like, Lucifer's always been the good guy. He represents freedom in my mind. Like, sin is being able to do whatever the fuck you want. Like, how is that not freedom? Now, I just came back from a church camp. I only went there because I love the activities that they do. And the topic that they were talking about was freedom. Freeing yourself from sin and being accepted in the eyes of God. Now, of course, I was thinking of my novel, because, like, that's what my novel's about. So, I took some notes and realized this is very different from what my novel is about. Branching off here, what I'm doing on screen is just some quick, like, expression testing I do with the characters, make sure I got the design right, see if there's anything I want to change. Oh, when it came to Poe, there was so much I wanted to change. Yes, Edgar Allan Poe is a character in my novel. He's like a love interest, kind of, to Azrael. There is another love interest who you will see very soon, honestly. He's the next character. But, back to Azrael here. Azrael is just a very kind character, honestly. He just wants the best for his family and for humanity. He loves humanity. But, again, he's pretty underdeveloped, I will say, when it comes to mythology and whatnot. But, Azrael is done. Let's move on to the trans king himself, Paimon. Now, that name might sound familiar if you're a fan of Helluva Boss, or have watched the movie Hereditary. Now, personally, Hereditary was my first introduction to Paimon, and it is a horror movie about a cult who worships Paimon, and the grandmother of the family was a part of the head leader of this cult. I believe she was known as a Bride of Paimon, honestly. And she was trying to get her grandson to be a vessel for Paimon because Paimon was cursed or born female. But, and this is why I called him a trans king, yearned to be male and have a male form. Now, I did do a little bit more research, and Paimon was not cursed nor born with this. Apparently, that's just something they put in the movie. Now, he does have a very feminine face, and, some boobage, but that's it. The rest of it is just him described as being he has a very masculine body, minus the boobage, but he just has a feminine face. And I was like, screw this is my story. I'm making them trans, because I myself am a trans man. And when I mentioned before about Paimon being in Helluva Boss, I don't like this fact. Paimon is Stolas' father. And I just didn't really like that. I didn't like how Paimon was portrayed in Hell of a Boss. Like, he is a member of the Heirs Goetia. I believe he is the 6th king as well. Or the 3rd king. The 6th pillar of the Heirs Goetia. There we go. And he is found in the Lesser Key of Solomon. But just the way he was portrayed as just this snobby, like, abusive father was, like, kind of pissed me off. And he didn't have any of the, I want to say Indian features, because when I was looking at the old artwork done of Paimon, it appeared to me that he was mainly depicted as being from India. He had the puffy pants, he had what looks to be, I don't want to say an emperor, but I don't remember what they're actually called, but it was a lavish crown that was really tall, and he's always depicted with a lavish crown and a veil, or something I laughed about a lot last night when drawing these. Sometimes he's depicted as wearing a tiara, which I kind of channeled with my design. So let's talk about my design, actually. I kept some of those Indian features, such as the puffy pants, and I actually made him Indian. I gave him tanner skin, I gave him a little bit of a thicker nose with what I could do with my style. I did my best. And I wanted to take inspiration from the dancers, or I believe it's belly dancers, with the sheer fabric, and I was originally going to give him one of those veils that cover his face, considering he was born with a feminine face and doesn't like it, which I might add into his design later, because I think that actually would have worked really well, at least covering the mouth area. But I wanted to see his face, so I also gave him a lot of piercings, because I know that is very traditional in that region. I've seen a lot of piercing videos that have upset me, but I will not judge people's cultures. But if you are not of that culture, please do not pierce your babies. They cannot have consent. And as somebody who wanted, or still wants to be a tattoo and piercing artist, it just upsets me a lot. But I understand, it's your culture. I'm not gonna shame your culture. Just know it is a bit upsetting. Anyway, gold is symbolized a lot with Paimon. I believe he's also known as the Golden King, which I only found in Hereditary. Like, I'm pretty sure that's just something they made up for the movie. So I did add a lot of gold, and I actually turned that crown tiara thingy that he wears into his horns, which I just love that detail. Another thing he's heavily associated, I just saw a Discord notification pop up on the recording. That is not meant to be there. Sorry. Another thing he's heavily associated with is birds. And that is because of the Heirs Goetia being mainly made up of bird-like demons, and again, birds are heavily symbolized in Hereditary. These are like my main... I mainly go off of pop culture when it comes to my characters. Like, the video game Obey Me, movies such as Hereditary, or Vavitch, and stuff like that. The Hereditary and Vavitch are very good movies, highly suggest. And I believe you can see that a lot in my designs for my characters and how I write my characters, such as Paimon here. Backstory on Paimon. Paimon was a angel, specifically a warrior angel, that was born female in a way. And my wrist is so shaky. He hated that. He absolutely despised it. And so joined Lucifer. He's like, hey, if you're promising freedom and allowing us to be who we really want to be, I want to join the war. I want to be on your side. And that's exactly what he did. Now, you can actually see the fact that I bound his chest, because as I mentioned before, Paimon and some of the artwork had a little bit of boobage. Not TikTok. Oh my god, I'm so used to making TikTok videos. YouTube, please do not demonetize me for saying that. It's just, I'm being honest. And my characters look very feminine in general, so I feel like that helped when it came to drawing Paimon. And now I'm going to address the elephant in the room, and that is Genshin Impact. What the frick were they thinking? So, as much as I love our little emergency food rations girly, I did incorporate a little bit of her into design, specifically with the tattoos and star on his tail. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Paimon's pretty much done. I will say that his design was very focused on the main character of Hereditary. I currently do not remember his name, because this is unscripted. So I was taking a lot of inspiration from how the actor looked, who eventually does get possessed by Paimon. And also, I feel like they picked the best actor for that, because when I was looking at the artwork of how Paimon looked like in like the Air Squalacia and stuff, it was like a perfect match, and I was like, is this fan art? It wasn't fan art. I couldn't find any fan art, which like really made me upset. I really liked the movie. I wish there was fan art. I've only seen like one fan art thing, and it was like this cute little like postcard thing. It was adorable. But yes, Paimon is pretty much done here. A little bit of more inspiration that I got from them was Spider India from the new Across the Spider-Verse movie. You can probably see that. Also, I love the silly, goofy little face he's making right here. I absolutely adore it. You can tell he's looking at Asriel. By the way, Paimon here is Asriel's secondary love interest. He's kind of yandere, because he wants Asriel all to himself. But he kind of attacks Poe as well. Once he finds out Asriel has an interest in this human, he's like, what does this human have that I don't? And so he's a bit yandere, but we love him. There's Paimon, my boy. And speaking of, here is Edgar. Now, I will say, I love Edgar Allan Poe's stories, and the fact that he talks about death and a lot of grim topics is what made me want to add him into a story all about the Angel of Death. And so I thought, and I was like, what if Asriel was his muse? And I absolutely adored that idea. So, I'm so sorry for that burp. When Asriel goes down to mingle with humans, he takes the form of this beautiful lady known as Lenore. And if you're a fan of Edgar Allan Poe's work, you should know that Lenore is a character in one of his poems. Also, if you have there it is, my little sprite of me holding scrapbook paper to hide the YouTube video I was watching. I was listening to music before this, and I was like, I'm gonna watch a character design YouTube video. And so, oh, and there's the Discord. Please don't read my Discord messages. Anyway, sidetrack aside. When it came to design for Poe, I was very inspired by the movie The Raven, the webtoon, Nevermore, and the amazing show, or anime actually, Bungo Stray Dogs, which takes a bunch of different authors and animeifies them, and Poe was one of them. And I liked how shy and like, he was freaking adorable. I love Poe in Bungo Stray Dogs. And I also took inspiration from a Netflix movie that came out. I don't remember the name of it. I do know the name was based off of one of Poe's stories, and I believe that was The Telltale Heart. It was based off the vulture eye type of thingy. I think it was like called The Pale Eye or something like that. I don't know. But another character that kind of inspired, I guess, my version of Poe's personality is from the comic Nevermore, and it is Pluto! I absolutely adore Pluto, mainly because Pluto is based off of my favorite poem from Edgar Allan Poe, or short story actually, and that is The Black Cat. So, Poe actually does have a black cat in my story named Pluto. I wanted to draw him so badly, but I was tired. I pulled an all-nighter just to get all these finished. I started editing this morning. So, post-design I'm not very happy with. I may do a redesign with him in a future video, but there he is. And finally, the final one that was the easiest because this is another character that already has a design, and as I mentioned with Azrael, this is Dagon. Now, Dagon was very interesting to research. Like, I researched them a teeny tiny bit before, because Dagon, if you watched my sketchbook tour, is actually an OC of mine. An original character. So, I was like, okay, I have an original character for the video game Obey Me who I can add into the story because they're based in demonology. Apparently it's not just demonology though. Dagon is known as like the secretary to hell or a general, but when I looked more into them, I was blown away with what I found. Not only are they in demonology and the Bible and considered a god, but they're in eldritch mythology as a god of the sea. And the originator of the sea people from... Oh. I went to Twitter for some reason. I must have accidentally clicked on a notification. Or forget I was recording. But they are the originator of the fish people from Innsmouth, or Innsmouth, one of H.P. Lovecraft's most popular stories. And, ooh, I love this idea, because it meant I could give them a bit of a oceanic feel and a draconic feel. I could make them an ocean dragon, because as I mentioned before, they're a character I made for the video game Obey Me, which is an Otome game. It's a dating sim where you get to date the 7 princes of hell, plus a few others, such as the King of Hell himself, Diavolo, which I actually took and made into Lady Diavolo, Lucifer's wife, in my story. There's a few other characters who actually may appear in my story, just my rendition of them, like Salmon, Barbatos, stuff like that. Anyway, so Dagon was a character I already had pretty much fleshed out. Now, oh my god, I don't know why I did this. Their original story is they are the youngest child of Loki, and his other father was a demon. And that's what gave him the demonic, draconic appearance. So, I took that small little aspect and I made them as an angel a messenger. I kind of called to a bit of a Hermes kind of character with the mischief and just wanting to have fun. Also, this was the longest one for me to record because I kept getting interrupted. But, anywho, so Dagon was already fleshed out. I knew green hair, a lot of golden accents, a lot of teal colors, a lot of brown. That earring that they're wearing is actually the logo of Mammon, who is their love interest from Obey Me, and Mammon is a character that I will probably do in the next design video for these guys. But let's talk about a little bit of why I gave Dagon some of these features instead of just copy-pasting. So, Dagon's horns are very reminiscent of Loki's crown from Marvel, and I just wanted to keep that fact. The wings and the tail I kept similar to the original from Dagon, because I thought that's a lot of who Dagon is. But what you can see me drawing right now, the little grains I added behind his horns, or behind his ears, is actually very important. So, Dagon was seen as a god of crops. Dagon actually, I believe, translates to crop. But again, they were in Eldritch mythology, and a few others were considered a ocean god. One of the pictures I found of them was a merman, essentially. And the top half of a man, and the bottom half of a fish. And so I gave them gills, I gave them a string of pearls, because I thought that would tie into the oceanic theme a little bit. And if anything, they're just an ocean dragon. Traditionally they have, like, originally in my design for them, they had yellow and blue eyes, but I decided to just give them blue eyes because I made it like a very pretty ocean blue with this very nice gradient. And I heavily freckled them. I like that. I gave them a lot of freckles. The green color, I kind of found a hidden meaning for with their design. Because they're a god of the grain and crop, I thought it could represent nature itself and, like, nature being alive. Green is a color that represents life. And so I gave it to their gills, their draconic features. Green was a color that was always a part of their color palette, because I thought it represented Loki. Not only does it represent life, though, it represents envy. And I thought because of the oceanic qualities, it fit pretty well, and he'd be a good, not match as in like romantic match, but a good parallel to Leviathan, the Prince of Envy, who is a sea serpent. And I thought maybe they're related in some way. I don't really know. At least in this continuity, maybe they're related, because they're oceanic, they're both reptilian. I thought it'd be cool. The dress that I gave them, because yes, it's meant to be a dress, they're another gender fluid character. Their pronouns actually change up in the story a lot, because one moment they're referred to as a guy, the next a girl, and then gender neutral. But as an angel, they're mainly referred to as a guy because, again, God was the one who chose everything when it came to them. But the dress that I gave them, I tried to give a gradient to give it that ocean feel, and I was just really trying to pull in the ocean. I thought the green and the wheat behind the ears would kind of tie in the crops. I was really trying to pull in that ocean quantity with the pearls, the colors, the gills. I feel like I failed a little bit. But hey, these are rough drafts. These are just quick sketches to kind of flesh out who they are, and I'm pretty sure my sister came into my room. That's why this is paused. Or not, okay. But these are quick sketches to try and just figure out who these people are, what I want them to look like inside of my story. I did write these characters before drawing them, which you're not really meant to do, but I did. And so I wound up with these guys. They're not the best. I did my best to do my research, but I didn't really find anything that meaningful, I guess. So I did my best with what I had. I really enjoyed Paimon's design, in all honesty. I accidentally gave him the colors of the asexual flag, or the arrow ace flag. But I really enjoy Dagon and Paimon's designs a lot. But now that I am saying all this, Dagon is finished. I was just doing some testing, some like different sides, and with that, they're done. Those are my main characters. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye!